Sure, Din Djarin surely suffers plenty of physical trauma during his adventures in The Mandalorian. But did you know that Pedro Pascal himself required stitches after filming one of Season 1's most memorable scenes? Since Din's sect of Mandalorians are forbidden from ever removing their helmets in public, it cannot be denied how powerful it was when Din's face is exposed in the last episode of Season 1. If you recall, the main gang hides out in the cantina after Din is wounded. Cara Dune tries to get him to remove his helmet for treatment, but the Creed says he can't do that in front of a living being.
I won't leave you.
This is the way.
Grogu uses the Force to buy them time, and IG-11 stays behind with Din, while the others head with Grogu to the sewers. IG-11 reminds Din that he is a droid, not a living being, so the Mandalorian reluctantly removes his helmet for back-to-spray treatment. What you might not have known is that some of the injuries on Din's face, when we finally got to see it, were real. According to a 2020 episode of Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian on Disney+, Pascal injured himself on set and had to go to the hospital for treatment. As it turns out, Pedro Pascal's accident happened on the way to the set, when he wasn't paying attention. In the discussion with co-stars Carl Weathers and Gina Carano, as well as executive producers and creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, Pascal said,
I stepped out of the makeup trailer, looking at my sides and walking to a piece of plywood. I've never gone to the hospital
the bad
from
part
work
about
before.
it was that
What's even crazier is that he was already made up for the scene where his helmet was removed, so he looked pretty bad on top of the fact that he was cut up in real life. In fact, the bridge of Pascal's nose was so injured that it required 7 stitches. Of course, in true Mandalorian fashion, Pascal went right back to work after getting his nose sewn back together, prompting Carano to say,
I think it was so cool that, and this is, I think, pride points, is that you went to the hospital and you came back. the same
Oh,
day.
please.
Filoni added that he thought it was method to have Pascal film a scene where Din is all beat up for real. Oddly enough, for most shows, an actor getting a facial injury on set might be an issue. But for a series that has a rule that this character never shows his face, it wasn't that big of a deal. However, there's one head injury that Pedro Pascal was known for before his accident on the set of The Mandalorian. Only this one is fictional and fatal. Yes, we're talking about his role of Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. The incredibly doomed prince who heads to King's Landing for vengeance, almost gets it, and then has his skull crushed in by the man who murdered his family. If you know the scene, you'll most definitely never forget it. And this scene too has a delightful Pascal anecdote to go alongside it. Pascal explained during an episode of Hot Ones, I got my head crushed in. It was the best part of the day. It was so hot when we were shooting that scene. You know, co-star Hafthor Bjornsson over me, and he puts his thumbs into my eyes, and they've got piping, tubing through his body into his forearms to his thumbs, and just pumping this like cool blood. And so gentle, like the gentlest guy ever. Naturally, Pascal adds that he fell into a deep sleep while playing the cranium-crushed corpse in the episode's wide shots. Of course, every nerd worth their salt can point out that Oberyn would have survived his final battle if he'd been wearing a helmet. Maybe a helmet made of Mandalorian Beskar? Oh, no, please put your pens down, fanfiction writers. Now we eagerly await Pascal's inevitable story about head violence on the set of The Last of Us. It must exist.